Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In Our Experience. We took a bit of a break because I went to New York and didn't have time to record. But now we're back, and our topic today is life purpose, I think. Once again, I am Amanda.
And I'm Nirel.
What have you been up to, Nirel?
Oh, what have I been up to? Well, this weekend I went out yesterday for the first time in a long time. I went to a hoedown, and it was pretty fun. They were teaching country line dancing. I didn't know a lot of the dances because, obviously, black people do a lot of line dancing, but they're black line dances. And so I was trying to learn all of them, tripping over my own feet. But it was really fun, really fun. I want to go out again and try to do it.
I hear you're a lightweight.
Oh, yes, I'm a lightweight now, tragic. Back in the day, used to thrive. Now, not so much. When I was in undergrad, definitely wasn't. But I just had two margaritas and I was like sloshed. Well, not like uncomfortably sloshed, but definitely drunk. And two margaritas, that's chump change. So, but it was still really fun. I went with one of my friends from the program and she did not know what she was doing either. So we were just laughing the whole time.
Yes, our audience should know. Not that we have much of an audience yet, but Norelle loves dancing, and that's part of her life purpose.
It's really a part of my lifestyle, yeah. And country music.
Yeah, indeed.
When I walked there, I was walking up to the thing. I think it's like called Do the Fun Thing or something like that. I did speed dating with them once, like the same organization that puts on these things. And when I was walking there, I was like, I can't believe this is so white. And then I was like, wait, it's literally country music. But it was fun.
Yeah, you should believe it. You should believe it at this point after having lived in Texas. But, you know, I also came to the realization that I'm no longer in college and can't drink multiple days in a row. When I was in New York, I can't handle the chaos anymore, it seems. I tried to do too much. I got sick, and it was sad. It was disappointing. But
Explain what went down. Why'd you go to New York in the first place?
I went because I've been volunteering for this nonprofit, the National Society of Entertainment and Arts Lawyers, and they had a networking event, and I wanted to visit my sister, and so I just decided to do it all at once and work and travel and see my friends and my sister, and it was a lot. I basically took a red eye on a Wednesday, got to New York at 9 in the morning, did not sleep very well on the plane, as expected when you put your head down on the tray. Doesn't really work
It's
that
not
well.
comfy?
No, no, it's not. Um, yeah, then I got there and I walked around with my friend and we got ramen and then I had to get ready for my networking event and I did that and I stayed out late and had a lot of wine and the next morning I woke up and tried to do work all day and then I went to Brooklyn and went out with my friend again, a different friend, drank again, had to get up to go to brunch with my sister and her friends the next day. Felt disgusting. Everything I ate turned into a rock in my stomach. My nose started running. I was like, oh fuck. Because it turned out my friend who I had seen on Thursday tested positive for COVID. So I was like, I guess I have COVID. And then I had to go to a dance show, my sister's friend's dance show, which was like in a basement full of people. I had to pay $30 for this ticket only to sit on the floor and watch random people dance and do hip hop. Then after that, we we sat outside on the grass for a while. Turns out I do not like the humidity. I guess I already knew that, but every time I go to New York in the summertime, I'm reminded. And then my sister's friends had a party, and they're all like NYU drama kids, and I went to Connecticut the next day. So, did a lot. Now I'm back. And I got a taste for New York, and it is a lot more hectic than it is out here in Los Altos. That's part of what we're going to talk about today is how do you figure out where you want to live? I get tired of like being out in the suburbs because I feel like there's not enough going on. Like I like to be at the center of the action in a way, and I like that like so much is going on and people are like all individuals doing their own thing, and it gets very motivating to tie into the topic of our last episode to be around like all these people who are trying to make it, and there's definitely a big like hustle culture in New York. Um,
Mhm.
and so that's like inspirational and motivating to an extent, but it's easy to like get burnt out, I think, like just to run yourself into the ground. I don't know. I like more nature, like a bit more calm, more peace. So I need some sort of balance between like things going on, but also like not being amidst the chaos,
Mhm.
I guess. What about you? Where do you want to live?
I think I want to live in Nashville, but I'm not entirely sure. Originally, I really wanted to live in Texas because I just moved from Texas. I would also be potentially interested in moving to San Antonio, but when I was living in Austin, I really, really liked it. I actually like muggy heat. I feel like my skin is not made for dry heat, hence why I never wore pants until like a year ago. Um, but I just get like so overheated, I feel like, in dry heat. But anyway, so I like the South. I like how people in the South are kind of like very put up or shut up. Like there's not a lot of fake niceness. There's like some fake charm, you know, where it's like, oh, bless your heart. But there's not a lot of like cheerful, like, hi, everyone, like that sort of thing, which I don't identify with. And I feel like that's why some people in California think I come off like a bitch or that I have autism. But I really think that I just need to. It's true.
Right.
It's literally true. It's true.
Tell
I've
that
had two
story.
I've had two people here say that I have autism and I just don't. Nothing against autistic people. Um but yeah, that story was basically that there was this girl who's like really into TikTok, and I feel like TikTok is like talking a lot about autism right now. I don't know if that's the thing or not. But anyway, we were sitting in this pool, and I was talking about how I feel like a lot of times I don't understand what people are going through if I haven't gone through something similar. So I'll try to like ask them questions to figure it out. But I feel like I'm more compassionate than I am empathetic. Like I just care a lot about people, but that doesn't mean I understand why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. And then she was like, "So you have autism." Anyway,
Okay.
that was based on her like TikTok, I guess. No degree whatsoever. Meanwhile, I do actually have a degree in social work and I'm able to diagnose people. That's neither here nor there.
You are? Wait, I didn't know that.
Well,
Okay.
technically, I need to have a licensure. So I lied.
Interesting.
Um,
Oh.
it would take me 2 more years to get it. So yeah, I like the energy of the South. Like even though sometimes the South has been on the wrong side of history, aka like segregation now, segregation forever. I feel like people are still really willing to stand their ground or be like, we're just gonna secede from the fucking union, like fuck you. Or like we have our guns, like fuck off. That kind of thing. Which we do not have in California, I fear. So I like that. And anyway, the last time that I went to Austin, it seemed like LA because everyone had moved there. I literally saw a girl with Birkenstocks. That horrified me. That's when I knew that everything had changed. So I think I have to go further east to Nashville now. Nashville also has better nature.
I feel like the friendliest people I've ever met were at the airport in Nashville.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know if that's a fact, but I just remember like going to that airport. I've never been to Nashville, but I've been to the airport in Nashville. And they were just
Ah.
so friendly. They treated me like a family member. I was like, well, thanks for my iced coffee. I feel like you've given me a treasure. Like,
I need to go back because I spent 2 hours in the Country Music Hall of Fame and I didn't even get to Taylor Swift's floor. But I really enjoyed it when I went there. Like walking around, it's relatively walkable, unlike LA. And they did have a lot of nature. I don't know how I'd fare in the snow, but when I was going on, I like to go on hikes every Sunday morning here in LA. And when I was walking this morning, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely need to be in a place where I can hike. And Austin just doesn't have that much, like, it doesn't really have hills.
I will say I am surprised that you like the South so much as like a liberal, a more liberal black woman. Because my family, my mom's family is from Texas, so I've grown up going to Texas every year, and there are good things about it, but I just feel like after growing up in the Bay Area, it's such a stark difference, not only like politics wise, but culture wise. I don't know, I just can't imagine myself ever feeling like I could fully assimilate.
Well, I
So,
also think you're a bit, in some ways, a bit less traditional than I am.
yeah, I guess so. And you like dancing, country music, and like I guess more of the activities that people do in the South, maybe? You like meat a lot too.
I like meat, I like alcohol, I like country music and country dancing, I like men with southern accents. And yeah, so I feel like a little bit more in line there. Also, as you know, I got canceled here. And so I feel like I've had more negative experiences because, like you said, obviously, like I am black, I'm not Candace Owens. I'm very involved in social change. Well, actually, I think Candace would probably consider herself involved in social change as well. But anyway, I'm very involved in like social change, volunteering, etc. And I would have what like some people would consider radical views on both like the far leftist and also libertarian side, which I guess is the left side of the right. And when I moved to Texas, I kind of had come also from like the Bay Area bubble, had certain politics, but then I met like really cool people there that I was doing a lot of really cool work with. And I feel like Austin and San Antonio doesn't have that thing that we have in LA where like people show up just because it's considered like the cool thing to do or the good thing to do. Like, oh, I'm going to this protest because it's like the cool thing to do at the school. Like when you talk about doing something that's left leaning or that other people would consider radical, I guess, in the South, like nobody cares. They're like, that's literally a dumb idea. And so the people that are there are really actually committed to like social change for a long time. I just feel like they're there for more genuine reasons. And it's, you have to be able to talk to people that don't agree with you because there just aren't enough people that agree with you. And I feel like that's something that's not the case here either. So usually whenever I move, I try to find people that are like very involved in volunteering and very generous because that's something I'm passionate about. Usually, like, you know, there's some sort of values alignment. But when I moved to here, I immediately got canceled amongst that group. So
yeah. Do you want to tell that story, or is that for a different time?
the story of how I got canceled, I can tell it. I guess it kind of ties into the topic because it helped me understand a bit more about my purpose. Basically, at UCLA, in this past year, like obviously a lot of people know we had a very like tumultuous time, especially around Israel and Palestine. There were a lot of people that were really trying to stand up for what they believed in on both sides of the issue. And people were feeling very strongly and like passionate about their issue, their ideas, and willing to put that into practice. So there was one point in time where within our classes, certain students had decided that they were going to record what everybody was saying. And that based on what we said in classes, they would like term us good or bad people, like
Wait,
either pro or
I didn't know that part.
what? Yeah, that's literally what happened. And so I must have said something wrong in class. I mean, I can think of about a million things that I might have said that have gotten me canceled, but I only figured it out because we were having a conversation with the dean. There were a bunch of things that like students could talk about, and they had come up with a list. Like a certain group had come up with a list of all the things that they wanted to say. And I'd asked one of my friends, like, how did we come up with this list? And she was like, oh, you weren't invited to the meeting. And that's when I realized that, like, I was being ostracized from the rest of the group. And there were a bunch of people on it. And so I was like uninvited to our class bonfire and like wasn't invited to our meetings where we were going to discuss how we are going to talk to the dean and whatnot, and like how we are going to support each other.
What did you say that put you on this blacklist?
I don't know, but there, I think one of two things. One was that I said my entrance into the like conversation about Israel and Palestine was through solidarity with American Jews, because I only know about the history of like the only thing that I knew about Israel and Palestine in general was related to the long history of solidarity between Jewish people and Black people in the United States. So I wasn't saying anything specific about like I stand with this side, I stand with that side. I was just saying the reason why I learned about this in the first place is because I've done a lot of research about the ways that Jewish people and Black people have helped each other in the past in the United States. Like I don't know if you know, but during the Holocaust, HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, were the only people that would hire Jewish people in the US to work. Yeah, so there's like a long history going both ways of like solidarity, because obviously like both people understand oppression and both people understand like what it's like to be a part of a genocidal project, I guess. So it was either that or it was that I said something about how I didn't think that we should be using class time in order to like have a healing space, because people are like, "Oh, like I'm just struggling so much right now. I need to like heal. Like let's not learn. Let's turn this into a healing space." And I was literally like, "I have friends. I have a therapist. Like heal outside of class. I've been doing like all this work related to these issues on my own time, and it's honestly a lot, and I just want to like have a break and be able to learn
Yeah, that's
in
why you're
class."
in your program is to
Yeah. And like the
learn.
teachers aren't necessarily therapists. Like, I don't know. I just felt like, no, this is not what I want to be doing. So one of those two things got me put on the list. And it was really hurtful. It was actually really sad.
That's why Norel hates LA. No.
Low key. Like, I was like, fuck this. I'm out of here. But I think
Yeah.
part of my purpose is to be involved in like social change. And so it was unfortunate that having that experience made me want to like self isolate from that and to feel like I needed to move in order to be able to like achieve my purpose within that, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that we should be intentional about deciding where to live, or do you think that it's better to let other factors guide us, like friends or family or jobs?
Both. Like, I think you should choose a place where you can be happy for as long as you can. But I also think, like, you know, if you have to move home after graduation, then like you don't necessarily get to choose. You're just moving to wherever your parents are. Like if you have to take care of a sick parent or something like that, like you move back to your hometown. There's no real choice there. I would feel comfortable moving to follow a partner as well. Like if they got a job somewhere else and I could get a job in the same area, I would feel comfortable like following them. So I think, you know, I want to move out of LA and go to the South somewhere liberal-ish city in a southern state, and that's something that I'm being intentional about and like setting up my dissertation research so that it'll be easy for me to do that. But I'm open to like having other things influence where I live as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have really known necessarily where you want to live without having experiences in other places too. Like the experience
Yeah.
you just had in LA being canceled kind of solidified your decision to want to move out of LA. So I think there is some value in just trying different places out.
Yeah. I wouldn't have moved to Texas if I didn't get a job at UT also. Like it wasn't like I was pining away. I mean, I was pining away for country man, but I wasn't like pining away for for a southern man. But I wasn't pining away for, you know, to move to Austin or anything like that.
Yeah. I feel like it can be really hard to just decide in a vacuum where you want to live.
Hmm.
Like, I know generally what I like and what I don't like, but I can also see like pros and cons of living in different places. Like the Bay Area, my family's here, but all my friends have kind of moved away. I like the weather. I don't like the tech culture. I
Hmm.
don't, I'm not really interested in the industries that are here. Um, I feel like there's not that much diversity with the kind of people that live here or among the kind of people that live here. But, it's safe, relatively, at least where I live. Um, and there are a lot of good things about it. It's affluent, there's good food. I don't know. But then LA, I like that it's sunnier in comparison to San Francisco. I like that there's more creativity. I feel like there are more creative industries. So people have different sorts of professions or professions that align more with what I want to do. And more of my friends are there, including you. And
Hmm.
um, I like the beach. I like that there's more to do. Things are open later. Um, yeah. But then New York, I'm like, it's humid. I don't think I'd like the winters either. So the weather's kind of a no. And it can be really chaotic, but then it also depends where in New York you live. Like my sister lives in the East
Hmm.
Village, but I've been to Brooklyn and that seems like more of a better balance where it's like young people, but also kind of away from Manhattan. So a bit calmer. So I'm just like, I could see myself living in different places, but it kind of all depends. Like, I don't know. I think that it is important to be near friends and family, depending on, how much they influence and impact your life in a positive way. So that's a factor. And then obviously moving somewhere where you can advance your career. But I think weather does impact your life on a day to day
For
basis. Like you
sure.
said, like you like humidity. I don't like humidity. It makes me feel disgusting. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
Do you think you would move somewhere for a partner, like follow a partner if they got a job somewhere else?
I mean, if they wanted to move to like Nebraska, maybe if they were just like, hey, I just have to do this year-long program and then we're out of here, I'd be like, all right, live in Nebraska for a year. My cousin actually did that. Yeah, he went to grad school in Nebraska, and his fiance, or I don't know if she was his fiance at the time, but she went and did a year-long nursing program there
Mm.
with him, and then they moved back to California. But yeah, I think I would if like it made sense overall.
Hmm.
I wouldn't like sacrifice my career and isolate myself. Like it would have to make sense. I wouldn't like move somewhere I hated indefinitely, probably like just because they want to live there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Do you
So
feel
you still
like
don't know where you want to live now?
me?
Yep.
Uh, no, I feel like I've narrowed it down to like California and New York.
Yeah.
But I'm only licensed to practice law in California. So if I lived in New York, I'd have to get a very specific kind of job that wouldn't require me to pass the New York bar. So it's probably easier that I stay here, but also I feel like California is like overall the best state in my opinion. I think the only other place I would live in is New York though. So, and if I want to do entertainment law, most of that is in New York City or LA. So, something to
Would you ever want to
consider.
live internationally?
I've thought about it. Like I used to want to study abroad in the UK. I really like Harry Potter and I love like old architecture, so it was kind of always my dream to go to a Hogwarts-esque place and pretend like I'm a witch. But no, I wanted to. My parents studied abroad at Oxford during law school, and it was like my mom's dream come true. She loved it. Um, and I feel like I would also like something like that because I really wanted to go to college somewhere old, and that just did not happen. Like Claremont
Not
McKenna
at all.
is, it's beautiful, but it's very modern. So
Super
that
modern.
was, yeah, little
That's
glass beads
funny.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah. Gotta make some compromises. But
Hmm.
I feel like I really wanted to go somewhere very grand with like spiral staircases and high ceilings and Gothic architecture. I don't know. So I have always kind of wanted to live in the UK. I was thinking like maybe I'll do like a year-long master's program in Edinburgh. How do you say it? Edinburgh or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but that costs more money, so I don't know. Not sure. I wouldn't really be able to practice law abroad, so I might just have to
Right.
satiate my desires with traveling. Do you
Fair
feel
enough.
like do you feel like different places that you live bring out different parts of your personality?
Yes. Do you?
How so?
Oh, I feel like living in the Bay brings out like a more perfectionistic type of my personality. Like, I don't think I'm a perfectionist, as we mentioned in our last episode, which you should watch if you haven't, or listen to if you haven't. But I think that like it makes me slash has made me in the past like more obsessive about grades and stuff like that I don't necessarily naturally care about. I think that LA brings out like the outdoorsy fitness side of me, and I love fitness and nature, so I think that's really cool. And I think people are really friendly, and I'm quite like outgoing and talkative, so I like that component. But I feel more like myself in Austin, which is why I liked it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing. It's like, where do you really feel like you can be yourself?
Hmm.
And I think that I've been happiest in Southern California. That being said, I haven't lived on the East Coast. I've only visited.
Hmm.
But yeah, growing up in the Bay Area, it was kind of a pressure cooker, very competitive. I think we talked about that
Yeah.
before, but I don't know. I felt like I connected more with Southern California, and maybe that was just the environment of college and Claremont, which is kind of its own little bubble, but it just felt more like me, you know?
Hmm.
Felt more like I belonged there, and it was kind of like an intuitive feeling. Like you can't really put a finger on it.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I feel like I also really liked Southern California when I was in college. But it wasn't until I like moved away and moved back and maybe like I changed a bit. I mean, do you think I've changed from college to now?
Well, I think your politics have changed.
Yeah, my politics have changed. Yeah, I just when I moved away and then moved back, I had like a massive culture shock and I was like, "Oh Lord, this is never going to work." So,
I
yeah,
think,
I do think
yeah.
sometimes you get an intuitive feeling.
I think it's also different being in school as opposed to like making it on your own.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess you still are in school, but you're not like at Claremont McKenna, everyone lived on campus and it was like its own little world.
Mhm.
And we did go into LA, but not super often and mostly just to study at coffee
Mhm.
shops. Yeah, it's hard to say how my feelings would change, but where do you see me?
I think I could see you actually in either of the two. Like I would have said Southern California, New York, or like London. Like I feel like that's kind of your vibe. London is rainy, but
I don't love the rain. I feel like that's definitely a thing though that like different environments bring out different parts of your personality. Like especially living at home, you kind of revert back into your high school self, I think, which can
yeah.
be very unhealthy.
Mhm.
Um so I kind of feel like I don't know if I'm evolving as a person. I think I'm just like it feels like I'm back in high school. I'm in my childhood bedroom. Not ideal. So,
In this conversation what I'm realizing is that it seems like a core part of either your purpose or your identity is creativity because that's what's associated with like each of those places. Like LA is known as a really creative place, so is New York, and I feel like London is too with like fashion and whatnot.
yeah, I guess so. I think it is. I mean, I think like if you can't really connect with the people around you cuz like no one's going to move to Silicon Valley for, creative purposes, creativity.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think birds of a feather fly together. Birds of a feather live together. I don't know. Um Anyway, no, I was just talking to my friend who moved. She moved to New York for a partner and to go to graduate school. Um, and she never really wanted to move to New York. And she said she's already so stressed out that she feels like it brings out the worst parts of her
Mm,
personality in a way. Like it really makes her like extra type A, like extra high strung. But at the same
hmm.
time, she's like, well, this is like the best place to advance your career. There's so much going on here. This is the center of the action. Everyone's here or everyone's visiting. Like there's so many opportunities. So I think there definitely are like pros and cons to wherever you live, but you do have to think about what your personality and like the kind of places that you can handle. Like I was talking to my mom about this and she was like, "Yeah, you've always kind of been overwhelmed by big crowds. Like you like it for a little bit, but then you get overstimulated and like that's similar to your sister, but then your other sister and me, we love crowds. We love the chaos. We get energized from it. So I think you have to know yourself. And then you can also move somewhere to pursue your dreams because, if you want to be an actress, gotta go to LA. You don't have to, but, that's what a lot of people do.
I was telling my mom about a guy that moved with just $1 and a dream. And she asked, because he had like no plans. He literally just moved there. My mom asked what his dream was, and I said he didn't have a dream. And so she was like, he just moved there with $1? And I was like, yes.
I feel like I don't know who you're referring to, but that's
Good
okay.
then. Good, in case he watches it. So do you
uh,
think that do you think that your friends should always be supportive of your dreams? Not necessarily you like moving for a dream, but just supportive of the dream that you're pursuing? Or do you think there's like a point where they should draw a line and they're like, look, friend, you're not naturally inclined towards this. Like, you're literally not good.
I feel like, so I just talked to this woman who left the legal profession to start her own design studio. And she was saying that like everyone thought she was crazy for giving it up. But she was like, I was super burnt out. I was really unhappy. I was working like 60, 70-hour weeks. She was like, these old white men would just go off on me on the phone. They'd be screaming for an hour, and I would just put them on mute and eat my lunch. And she was like, I worked my way up from an assistant position to being an executive in Hollywood, and everyone was like, "You put so much time and effort into this. Like, why would you
Mm-hmm.
give it all up? You've been doing it for 5 years. You're making a good salary. You made it." And she was just like, "But I'm unhappy. I hate it. Like, this is not what I want to do. I have one life to
Right.
live. I need to do what I'm meant to do." And so she said that she started waking up at 4 a.m. on like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to like take graphic design classes, which was just like a hobby she had. And she was like, I finally felt like I had a purpose. I finally felt like my life had meaning again. And even though I was super exhausted and like was just like trying to learn as much as I could about graphic design in my free time, like I finally felt like I was doing something that I was called to do. And then she eventually like figured it out well enough to like get some clients and do some projects and start her own studio. And she left her job and she said she's thriving now and she loves her life and she lives in Brooklyn and she's motivated. All she has to do is go outside to get some more motivation. um and so I think she was saying like her boyfriend at the time was like, are you crazy? Like, why would you leave your job? And her family and everything, they were all questioning her. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's not good. Like, if you see that your friend or your family member is unhappy and they're doing something that is just soul sucking, that's like turning them into a shell of a person, like, I think you should support them in changing their situation and in
Mm-hmm.
following what they're actually passionate about. That being said, if someone is claiming to be passionate about something that they really just aren't good at, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to sort of give them a reality check. Like, hey, you're not gonna make it. Like, maybe don't say it like
Look,
that.
you can't sing.
Yeah. Like those people that try out for American Idol, and you're just like, they're like, but my friends, my family, they say I'm amazing. They say I'm wonderful. It's like, those aren't your friends. Like,
They're lying.
yeah, like why would you tell someone that they are good at something that they're just clearly objectively not good at? Like they're just gonna embarrass themselves.
Hmm.
Has that ever happened with any of your friends?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know people that have tried really hard to get into a profession that I feel like they're not naturally inclined towards. Like taking all of the classes to like be pre-law, pre-med, whatever, and then they are like just failing their way through all of them, failing their way through the entrance exams, trying to get into like different grad schools multiple times, and it's just never working out. Like 3 years spent trying to like reapply to grad school, and I feel like I was never asked, so I never said anything. If I had been asked, do you think I should give up? I would have said yes. You are not naturally inclined towards this. I think you need to try something else. And then if you hate everything else, maybe you can circle back, but like this is not your purpose. um but since I wasn't asked, I just kept my mouth shut. I hope she's thriving now. I have no idea what she's up to.
Did you ever think about saying like, "Hey, did you ever consider like another career path?"
I feel like I would have if I felt she was open to it. You know what I mean? Like, but she was just so hell bent on one profession that I was like, I don't think I'm going to convince her of anything else. I think it would just like, you know how people say if you have nothing like good to say about something that someone can't change, you know, then don't say it. Like you can say like, "Oh, I don't think that haircut suits you," or like, "Oh, you should try this hair color." That's one thing. But being like, you're literally the shortest bitch on the block and like, you look terrible because you're short. Like, what are they supposed to do about that, you know? Or like your outfit literally looks gross once you've already left the house and are at the event. So I feel like that's kind of the vibe where I was like, if I felt like she would change it, then I would have said something. But because I felt like it would just be putting her down on something that she like couldn't change about herself because there was no way she was going to, then. But I do feel like it got her stuck. Yikes.
I feel like you can always change your career though. Like you can always pivot.
Agreed. Like when we're talking about following your dreams, people usually talk about career, which is interesting because can't you have dreams in other areas of your life?
Definitely, yeah.
And I feel like people will put you down. I wonder if this is a US thing where like people will put you down if your dream is like finding a partner. Like for example, if I was like there's no way I'm going to find my husband here. I'm going to move to Texas. Like I feel like people would look down on that a lot more than like, "Oh, I want to start a podcast. Joe Rogan's in Austin. Everyone who's anybody who's doing podcasting except for us is in Austin. We should move." Like people would support that way more than the alternative, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's because your career is supposed to be an extension of who you are and the change you want to make in the world, whereas like another person is separate from you. But I don't know. I mean, I think there is something to be said for thinking about the future you want to have in its entirety. Like, do you want to have a family? Well, you're going to have to
Hmm.
go somewhere where you have the ability to meet people to start a
Right.
family. I mean, you can't just like sit in your childhood bedroom in your childhood town and expect to meet someone. No, I feel yeah, my sister was like, don't even bother dating in the Bay Area. It's not worth it. Don't even try. No, but no, I think that's definitely something to consider if that's what you want in life.
I agree. Do you feel like you know, like, not to be like, do you feel like you know what the meaning of life is? But I've been hearing, I guess, lately from like a variety of different people what they feel like their purpose is on Earth. But I feel like people do actually have like really different ways that they see their purpose, you know? Like some people will just say, like, "Oh, I just want to be happy. Like, I just want to, have a family and like come home to loved ones, have good friends. Like, I just want to be happy." And then some people are like, no, that's literally not my goal. Like, I want to like build this crazy business. Like, I'll work, 16-hour days and like, I want to work hard, play hard, or like, I want to innovate something. I want to like do something that nobody else has thought about or ever like would have done. Like, I want to do something that like changes the world, basically. Not that those are diametrically opposed. Like you can be happy and also do things that change the world. But I think it's just been interesting for me to see, like, some people are like, I want to live forever. And it's like, I don't really see that as a pursuit for myself. So, yeah, do you feel like what sort of like things, what sort of things you feel like, or like what you feel like gives life value to you? Like if you were out on your deathbed and you were like, oh, I had a good life, like would it be because of what reasons? What reasons would it be because of? I don't know why I said that so weirdly. Sorry.
We had a professor our freshman year who asked us a question kind of similar to this. Like, do you want to, what did he ask us? Like, do you want to make beautiful things? Do you want to see beautiful things?
Oh yeah.
Or do you want to teach people to see beautiful things? I don't know, something
Beautiful
like that.
thing. Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. I feel like I do want to make beautiful things. Like I don't I get tired of just consuming. Like I
Hmm.
love like television and film and I like analyzing shows and movies, but at a certain point I'm like I'm just watching other people live. I'm just watching these interesting plots and storylines and characters and I'm not being a main character in my own life. So, I feel like I do want to like create things that impact other people and connect with other people, but I also want to be happy. Like, I don't think that you should defer your happiness. I don't think that you should be like, I'm just gonna like work my ass off for 10 years so I can retire and do things I enjoy later in life. It's like, what if you don't make it to that age? Then what? What if you die? So,
But I feel like that person is still saying the same thing, but at the end of their life, they want to be happy.
yeah. But I think you should be happy throughout, ideally. I mean, you can't always like have everything you want though when you want it. You're gonna have to like think about the long term picture. Like, if I put this work in now, if I suffer a little bit now, I'll get this reward later. And sometimes you have to do that.
I just
But
remember this guy
yeah.
saying, like, oh, I don't necessarily want to be happy. I just want to do cool shit. Like, I just want to do things that will create the most compelling story. And so sometimes, like, I won't be the happiest, but I, like, have had an interesting, like, I've had a fulfilling life because it was interesting. Like, I did cool things, you know? And I was like, oh, that's an interesting perspective.
I feel like that's I feel like the kind of person that would say that is maybe more interested in how they're perceived than how they feel. But
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I do have a bad experience, but then afterwards I'm like, well, at least it was a good story. I can laugh about it later. I can be like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened.
Hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, that is for my own amusement. Like
Hmm.
to feel like, oh, I had these interesting, diverse experiences, and maybe it was shitty in the moment, but I learned something from it, you know?
Yeah.
What about you?
Um, I feel like I kind of want to do like making the world like understand something that it hasn't before, or like being very involved in social change. Like I'm really inspired by people that were like the first to do something within their field. Like not necessarily the greatest, but just the person that's like, "Oh, I didn't even know we could do that." You know? So, I feel like I'm inspired by that. And then I also really like teaching. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand in terms of like helping people understand things that they wouldn't have necessarily understood without you having been in their life. And then also being able to change the world in some ways, because I think that, you know, teaching the youth helps with world change because they're the future.
Yeah. True. I feel like maybe it's just me being too self centered, but I'm like, I gotta focus on myself before I focus on the next generation.
Mhm.
Like, I gotta figure out what I can contribute before I can teach other people. I don't know.
I feel like sometimes the best person to teach is the person that like hasn't figured it out. I remember hearing a thing a while ago where this woman was basically saying like people think that they have to be if there are like 10 steps and somebody's on one, people think they have to be at like the ninth or 10th step in order to talk to the person at the first and like teach them what they've learned. But in reality, the person that will be most helpful is the person that's the third because like they actually remember what it was like to be at one and they're like communicating with them effectively. They have like recent examples. They're not just recalling from yesteryear. And so their like ideas aren't based on something that's fictional. Like, you know, like they don't have memories that have changed. And I just found that interesting.
I do feel like I've connected better with bosses who are closer to my age just because
Yeah.
they understand more what I'm going through and they don't, I don't know, like some older people in the elder generation, they're just kind of like, well, I suffered in this way, so you have to suffer in the same way.
Hmm.
And they don't really think about like how things have been different for you and how things maybe should be different for me and
Hmm.
better. So, yeah, that's true. I see the validity in that.
Do you think that people are like born with a purpose, or do you feel like you have to create it? Like, do you feel like it's something sort of innate, or maybe something that you have like when you're younger, or do you feel like you're actively like creating what your purpose will be, if that makes sense?
I think it's both. I mean, I think some people have a stronger calling. They're just like, I
Mm-hmm.
knew when I was 4 years old that I wanted to be a pop star or whatever. But
Hmm.
I think you should look back at like what you were drawn to as a child and like what gave you joy because you weren't really constrained by like societal expectations and the fact that you've put so much energy and effort into like building this certain career or being on this specific path. Like you were just kind of doing whatever made you happy and not really thinking about it. So like that's kind of why I decided on entertainment law or being in a more creative field because I was like, well, as a kid, I just wanted to have photo shoots and make little iMovies and direct music videos and like I don't know, talk about TV shows and films and play dress up and
Throw Barbie at
act.
cacti.
Right, yeah. Hey, that was artistic. We were arranging them on the cactus in different poses. I took a
Hmm.
photo of them all
Hmm.
arranged on the cactus. I'm normal. No.
Yeah, that was just a photo shoot. What do you mean?
Right, exactly. Anyway, no, I feel like, and I liked editing videos too, so. And now I'm doing a podcast. I don't know. I think you
Hmm.
need to look at like what you're naturally drawn to, and that is part of what you should pursue as an adult as well.
When I was in third grade, I said that I wanted to be the Martin Luther King Jr. of education.
You said that in our last episode.
So I feel like that's probably my early calling. I also read underneath the table a lot like this when I was like supposed to be learning math. I recall that. This is my book. Sorry.
Okay.
In case that wasn't clear. Like underneath the table, I'd be reading when I was supposed to be doing other things. And I feel like that kind of aligns with like academia.
Did you have those like career days where you had to dress up as what you wanted to be when you were older?
Not that I recall. We had Halloween.
Oh, we had like a career day, and I remember I dressed up as an author. I put a pencil behind my ear,
Aww.
and I would go around like I would learn these random words. I was obsessed with thesaurus.com. Like I would just look up synonyms on thesaurus.com and I really liked writing too. So I was like I thought when I was a kid that the bigger the words, the better the writing. So I'd find these super obscure synonyms on thesaurus.com and just throw them in there. My teacher literally had to take me aside and she was like, Amanda, you write better than most high schoolers, but I don't even know what this word means. What are you doing?
What grade was
That
it?
was like fifth grade.
Mm.
I remember this one time, it could have been the day that I dressed up as an author, but I was like, I really liked the word loathsome at the time. And I was just like looking for a way to like sneak it into a conversation. I was like, when can I say it? What's the right context? And I remember I was like embarrassed to say it because I knew that it like wasn't the kind of word that people said in elementary school
Hmm.
in casual conversation. So I remember that I found an opening when I was talking to one of my friends and I was just like, "Oh, that's loathsome." But I like lowered my voice. That's loathsome. I was so embarrassed. But I was like, "Yes, I did it. I said it." So,
When I was in
I'm
college,
not
I
sure what
remember I wanted to write a
happens.
sentence with all the punctuation options. Like a semicolon and a colon and a tilde and a comma and a period, obviously. Parentheses. I don't
How'd
need to
that
list
work
them
out
all.
for you?
I feel I spent a long time trying to like do it. I feel like I would recall if I ever did, so I must have not. But it was a joyous occasion to struggle through it all.
Didn't I introduce you to the dashes?
Yeah.
Yeah, a way to write run on sentences without them being run on. No.
No, truly.
Yeah.
Remember how we used to say that we didn't necessarily like doing things that we weren't naturally inclined towards? Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty low tolerance for doing things that don't align with like who I am on a fundamental level.
Mm.
Like if you were to throw me into like an econ finance job or a tech job or something, I would literally hate myself in my life and want to die probably. I don't think I'd be able to do it for very long.
Hmm.
Do you feel that way still?
I think so. Because I can't think of anything else that I've done. Like, it's not like I have to be great at something the first time that I do it, but I kind of think of it like this. Like, if you were taking Joe Schmo and you were taking me, and we were both doing like the same task, we had never done it before, would I be doing it better than him? Like, just like, am I naturally inclined towards it? And in that case, I would say yes, I prefer to do things that I'm naturally inclined towards. Although I will say I've been starting to make a few distinctions within that because I feel like my like interests are really naturally inclined with academia. Like I like writing, I like reading, I like teaching, I like understanding things in depth. I'm very curious, but I feel like my personality doesn't align that much with academia. Like I'm a bit too restless and like spontaneous, and I just don't want to be studying the same thing for like 5 years in a row. I get bored, and I want to like my mind is kind of flitting all over the place. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is an interesting idea. That's an interesting idea, you know. And so I don't know. I've just been thinking about that a bit because I felt like I was very naturally inclined towards academia, but now more recently, I've been like, I can't do this forever. And people will ask me, like, what do you want to be an expert in? And I'm like, I don't care about being an expert. I just want to like learn cool things. And they were like, well, you know, that's not like what a PhD program is, right? And I was just like, I thought it was. I feel like that's part of why I want to do the podcast. Because you can like
Yeah.
talk about other things like that I've been thinking through that I can't necessarily like talk about in class, like just not things that I can explore research wise because they don't fit with like my academic identity.
I feel like you just have to think about like what really makes you light up. Like in college, I never wanted to participate in class. I was always so nervous about it. I was just like, well, what would I have to say that would add to the conversation, which maybe is not a good mindset to have. But When I took fiction writing, all of a sudden I was like participating pretty frequently, like consistently. I was like, oh, this is really interesting and I want to share my thoughts. And I felt comfortable, which maybe also related to the professor I had and the kind of classroom environment he created. And then he was good at um, setting up discussions and finding interesting activities for us to do. But I just feel like I lit up in a way that I hadn't in my other classes.
Do you feel like that's like a good way, I guess, to try to figure out what your purpose is? Like think about what you liked a lot when you were a kid and then see what like lights you up even as an adult and then kind of try to pursue that.
I think so. I mean, there are a lot of practical considerations that people have as an adult that aren't present when we're children, though. Like, you have to support yourself financially, and you might have loans that you need to pay off, and you might have kids. There are just different things to think about. So, like, not everyone can just go off and be a writer. Like, I can't really do that right now.
Or
But,
a police dog.
what?
I saw one kid say that when he grew up he wanted to be a police dog. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't think that's practically going to work out in the future, but I love your sort of creativity.
I mean, yeah, right. Like, you can just think if you really want to be a police dog, maybe that's not possible, but you could be a policeman. You could
Right.
work in forensics. You
Mhm.
could be an
A vet.
investigator in the FBI. A vet. You could own a dog. So, there are ways to
You could be a person
incorporate.
that owns a dog. That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, there are ways to incorporate your passions while not necessarily pursuing them wholeheartedly. And also sometimes people don't want to pursue their passions as a profession because then they lose the excitement for their passions. It becomes like a chore instead of something that gives them energy.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some first steps that you think people can take to figure out their purpose if they don't know what their purpose is?
Mm, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of hard because I do feel like I've known what my purpose was for a long time, like since I was young. Like I feel like I didn't really have to figure it out. Do you feel like you had to figure yours out?
What's it like to be so purposeless? Couldn't be me. No.
Couldn't be me,
Um
low key. Couldn't be me. Because you're also talking about like knowing kind of from a young age.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to think about it. I think everyone has those moments where they're like, oh, this really energizes me. I really enjoy this. But I think people suppress it a lot of the time because they're just like,
Me
oh, that's
too.
not practical. That's not practical. I couldn't do that. Or my parents don't want
Yeah.
me to do that. That would never be accepted in my family. I have to be a lawyer. I have to be a doctor. I have to be blah, 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 blah. But like, you should really think about what you want to be and what you want to do. But then, like I said, there are obviously some practical considerations. You can't just like go and be a captain of a ship, you know, with no thought as to the consequences of that on the other people in your life or your future.
Right. Or if you get seasick,
Exactly.
it's like, well, I don't know if that's really going to be for you. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like for you, you like wanted to have a bit more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when you were choosing between like, oh, maybe I want to be an author, maybe I want to be a screenwriter, or like I do want to be an entertainment lawyer. You were also thinking about like your personality and not wanting to have like a consistently unstable job, and you were thinking about like the sort of lifestyle that you want in terms of how you always choose the most expensive thing on the menu, and so you have to have some sort of money and can't be a starving artist. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think that if you do what you love, though, that a lot of the time money will follow. So that is something to consider. But yeah, I didn't want to kind of have one gig here and one gig there and not really know
Right.
when my next job will a rise. Like, I wanted to have a stable job and a stable salary, which I don't really have that right now. But no, I do.
You will.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did want that. I feel like I want to be financially secure for sure. Don't want to have to rely on someone else. But it's tough out there.
Yeah, and
It's tough
sometimes
out
I
there.
guess you just try things. Like you were saying about like the entertainment lawyer who realized that she hated her job. Like you just
Hmm.
try something and then you realize, oh my God, I literally hate this. Um, I think that like I say a lot of times to myself when I'm like not making a decision quickly, which is rare to be honest. I'm very decisive. But I say like if you don't know where to start, start anywhere. If you don't know what to do, do anything. And I kind of think that's like a good idea. Like I just feel like you continue to confuse yourself if you're just like mulling it over in your mind. And I get why people do that because as long as you're mulling it over in your mind, then like A, you have control over it, but B, you don't have to do anything. But I feel like just trying something out and seeing if you hate it and then pivoting is also like a good way to go. Might as well.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the only way to go sometimes, because you can only think about something so much.
Right.
Without having experiences, you don't have anything to go off of. Like, you need to actually try it to know if it's for you.
Yeah, and you can literally always change your mind. You can
Hmm.
always change your mind. That's part of self improvement, I feel. And you can
What
live
a
multiple.
nice tie in.
And I feel like you can live multiple lives in one life too. Like you can have a whole 10-year career in something and then switch and have a whole 10-year career in something else. Like people forget that like life is pretty long, you know?
Ideally.
So why not? You said sometimes it is?
I said ideally.
Oh, Amanda, please.
No, yeah, there were like 30, 40 year olds in my law school class. They had whole careers before they went to law school. You can always change your mind. People forget that. It's easy to forget because you get stuck on a path and it's a lot of effort to switch it up, but you got to do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah. And I think, like you said, people will take into consideration, like, what is everybody else going to say about me? Like, you know, what if I fail? I can't just give up and all that sort of stuff. I think they say it about men, but it's like if they like you, you'll know. If they don't, you'll be confused. I feel like that's kind of the case too with like your job or your dream or whatever. It's like if you're confused, you actually do know, but you just like are making it purposely more difficult for yourself because you don't want to have to make a decision or do a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think like just like in relationships though, everyone reaches a breaking point where they're like, okay, this
Right?
is not gonna work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
now I know internally that this is not for me. And it's kind of the same with jobs. Like, you might be confused and you might know, but you don't really consciously know yet.
Right.
Like, you need to like figure it out a little bit more until you reach that point where you're like, I need to make a move. I need to get out of this situation. I need to do something
I
else.
agree. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I went to the doctor once and she was like, "Oh, I went to a year of law school." And then I hated it and I dropped out and I went back and took science classes and then went to medical school. I'm like, okay. And she was like a literature major or something. So she had to like go back to school and like take all these science classes. I'm like, wow, we can really do anything if we set our minds to it.
Truly. Yeah. Like I said, life is long.
Yes. But this podcast episode is ending.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned for our next podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, have good experiences. Bye.